Hello and welcome. My name is Gina. I can decipher hieroglyphics, I can read and write ancient Egyptian, and my dad loved Egypt so much that he married a mummy. Today we are talking about an absolute classic. This movie is so special. It was a sexual awakening for many, myself included, although I didn't see the movie until I was like 16, so more like a sexual reawakening, which is perfect because hello, it's about a mummy. Folks, I give you The Mummy. If you haven't seen the movie, watch this video, go watch the movie, come back, watch the video again. Okay, let's get started. So the movie opens in ancient Egypt with Imhotep, the high priest. Picture like a sexy blue-tongued skink, and Hamunaptra, the pharaoh's mistress. Picture like Spirit Halloween Cleopatra. And they're stealing a chaste kiss because guess what? This is a forbidden love, yup. Hot. Well, the pharaoh immediately comes in and catches them, and you're gonna laugh. They end up taking turns, stabbing him 6 times. If that ain't love, then I don't know what love is. R.I.P. You guys would have loved gym class heroes. Anyway, the pharaoh's guard comes in and Imhotep gets away somehow. He walks like 10 paces to stage right, and they're like, damn, we wish we knew where Imhotep was. Oh well, I guess we'll just kill the whore, which is so typical. Like, of course, blame the woman. Like, no, don't blame the high priest who's in a position of power. Blame the woman who probably has no other options besides marrying the pharaoh. Like, it's not like she has any backup plan. Like, she basically just has to marry the pharaoh. No, but it's her fault. It's totally her fault.
We should totally just stab Caesar!
Well, Hamunaptra sticks around and immediately kills herself. I'm talking within like 20 seconds of being discovered. It's very much giving you can't fire me, I quit, which I love. Blah, blah, blah. Imhotep wants to resurrect her, so he breaks into the crypt where she's buried in the city of Hamunaptra, aka the city of the dead. He steals the book of the dead so he can bring her back, but before he can finish the ritual, the pharaoh's bodyguards step in to prevent her from coming back. Gag. They cut off Imhotep's tongue, mummify him, bury him alive, fill his sarcophagus with scarab beetles, seal it with a kiss, and throw away the key. Now the legend goes that he must be locked away for like ever, because if his sarcophagus is ever opened, he'll come back as a walking disease, a plague upon mankind, an unholy flesh eater with the strength of ages, power over the sands, and the glory of invincibility. Or whatever, something like that, I don't know. This is such a sickening punishment because they're like, you've heard of Jesus Christ, right? And he's like, no, this is 2000 years BC. And they're like, okay, true. Well, basically, if you ever come back, you're gonna be like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit with the power to enslave the world. So don't ever come back. And he's like, okay, well, I don't know who Jesus Christ is, so that analogy doesn't really make sense to me, but I totally won't. That sounds terrible. Well, fast forward 3,000 years in the future, 1,920 years AD, so you better believe Imhotep has heard of the big man by now, where he meets sexy-ass, tight-ass, perfect, peak Brendan Fraser, who plays Rick O'Connell. He's leading a small troop of, I don't know, let's say about 40 pillagers who have come to the city of the dead, Hamunaptra, to sack it for its rumored treasure when they are suddenly attacked by the Magi. The Magi are the descendants of the pharaoh's sacred bodyguard. Their mission is to protect Hamunaptra to make sure Imhotep is never released. So for the past 3,000 years, hundreds of soldiers have just been loitering around the city, tugging on their dicks, waiting for someone to try to pillage it so they can murder them? Jobless behavior. Jobless behavior. Something about the depiction of these guys feels a little racial. But gosh, I wish I could put my finger on why. Basically, Rick's whole team is murdered, but he's spared because he finds himself standing on Imhotep's tomb, which scares the Magi away. Seems like the perfect time to kill him, but apparently they decide that's just too much effort because they let him get away with the assumption that the desert will take care of him. Again, this is jobless behavior. Now we meet the beautiful, the incomparable Rachel Weisz, aka Evelyn, who is a quirky librarian who just doesn't know when to quit, which is demonstrated by her persistence in trying to put this book away, even though it is nowhere close to within her reach, resulting in a literal domino effect, like she's one of the 3 fucking stooges, and of course every bookshelf in the library falls over. A bit of an oopsie. This scene is great because it shows that she's smart, but she's also dumb. And as someone who once lost a spelling bee to the word shoelace because my friends were also throwing, that's something that I can really relate to. We find out Evelyn needs more experience in the field, and we meet her brother Jonathan, who's a bit of a prankster. When we meet him, he's hiding in a sarcophagus, which he jumps out of while holding the enclosed body to scare her. The writers are like, how do we show that he's like a silly, goofy guy, that he's like kind of a comic relief character? Oh, okay. Have him lie down in a casket with a dead man, spoon his shriveled body, and then puppeteer the corpse like he's Jim fucking Henson. Yeah, that'll show the audience that this guy's kind of like lovable and harmless. Also, he's drunk.
Mister, I'll have you know that at this precise moment, my career's on a high note.
But as it turns out, he's not a completely useless buffoon. He actually brings Evelyn an artifact that he found and a map that leads them directly to Hamunaptra. Huzzah! This is the perfect opportunity for Evelyn to get that much-needed field experience, but alas, when they show the map to her boss, the museum curator, he accidentally burns it. Oh, brother. I love this guy though, because like our first 5 seconds meeting him after Evelyn destroys his beautiful library, he hits me with more Egyptian references than I could have thought possible in one sentence.
Sons of the Pharaoh! Give me frogs, flies, locusts, anything but you. Compared to you, the other plagues were a joy.
I'm so very sorry it was an accident.
Darling girl, when Ramses destroyed Syria, that was an accident. You are a catastrophe!
They're like, babe, did you forget this movie's about Egypt? Because don't, honey, it's about Egypt. Everyone in this universe only has one thing on their mind, and that is ancient Egypt. Similarly, I only have one thing on my mind, and that is today's sponsor, BetterHelp. But I'm just kidding, it is spaghetti bolognese. Okay, great, so the map's burned. What do I do? What do I do? Is what an idiot would say if this happened to them, but not Evelyn. No. She decides to seek out the man that Jonathan stole the artifact from, genius, and that is none other than our beloved Rick O'Connell, who has been captured for having too much fun or something? I don't know.
Now, what exactly is this man in prison for?
Well, this I did not know. But when I heard you were coming, I asked him that myself.
Yalla! And what did he say?
He said he was just looking for a good time.
He's being held in a prison and is looking like George of the Jungle when they meet him. Which makes sense because Brendan Fraser was actually cast for this movie because of his 6.9 magnitude motherquake of a performance in the 1997 family comedy George of the Jungle. He realizes who Jonathan is and punches him in the face. Nice. And they ask him if he can tell them how to get to Hamunaptra. And he says, it's pretty much a hellhole and it stinks like shit and I don't think you guys should go. But if you really want to go, like, you need to get me out of prison. It's called give and take, babe. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Oh yeah, and then he plants like a fat smooch on Evelyn in a pretty aggressive, kind of assaulty-ish kind of way. But of course she swoons because it's fucking Brendan Fraser. Like, it's 1999 peak Brendan Fraser, so we give him a pass. I guess. He is about to quite literally be executed when Evelyn bribes his captors to release him in exchange for 500 pounds and passage to Hamunaptra. This is where we start to see that Evelyn is more than a pair of doe eyes and a nice rack. She's also got a brain on her, which I guess I should have known by the fact that she wears glasses, which she conveniently ditches after the first scene because everyone knows that glasses make you ugly, but I was too distracted by her pencil-thin eyebrows. Sue me! Okay, so now that Evelyn saved O'Connell's life, yeah, we're kind of on a last name basis now, he agrees to help them get to Hamunaptra, even though he thinks that it's pretty much totally cursed and the only thing to be found there is death. Sounds like a super chill time. So they head to the boat that will take them to Hamunaptra and O'Connell shows up and what? Oh, what? So now he's just sexy again? Oh great, he's sexy now? I was just getting used to him being a savage beast and now I have to readjust him being like sexy Colonel Sanders again. It's a lot to take in, but I'm feeling really brave, so let's press on. Okay, so there's this greasy little motherfucker named Benny, right? We actually met him at the beginning when O'Connell was being attacked at Hamunaptra. I just didn't tell you about him then because I didn't feel like it. I don't know, it's literally my video. I can do whatever I want, don't be weird. So he was part of O'Connell's troop, but when they were being attacked by the Magi, he abandoned him. et tu brute. So he's a slimy little freak and we hate him. Well, what do you know? This grimy fuck is on the damn boat to Hamunaptra and he is leading a crew of gun-slinging Americans. He makes a few offhanded comments about Evelyn to O'Connell and O'Connell says, no, queen, I don't think so. And he slams him off the side of the boat. Hot. Okay, so this part is kind of crazy. Evelyn gets attacked by the Magi in her suite on the boat because they're looking for the key and the map. A gentleman knocks before entering a lady's room.
A gentleman knocks before entering a lady's room.
Also, how did they know? How did they know that she was on the boat headed to Hamunaptra with the very same key and the very same map that they're looking for? Did they have an air tag on it? So the map gets burned all the way this time, and the key, aka the artifact, oh, that makes sense, gets rescued from the Magi by Jonathan. But oh no, now the whole boat is on fire, like my Cybertruck after driving 3 miles with the autopilot on. So they gotta jump ship and swim to shore. Oh, wet socks? This sucks. Wow, we finally made it to Hamunaptra. But not before we get to see Evelyn in this inspiring number. I mean, who gave her the right? I don't know if we want to consider this cultural appropriation or appreciation. I mean, she did mention that she lost her entire wardrobe when they jumped ship, so I guess maybe she had no choice but to cop this fit, but she does only wear the lower facial veil for about 5 seconds, just long enough to force O'Connell to give us this auga moment before she ditches that veil. Also, I lied, they're not at Hamunaptra yet. First, they have to wait for golden hours so they can get a cunty group photo, and so that Hamunaptra will finally become visible because Miss Girl is very demure, yes, she's very shy. Then they have a race to see who can get to Hamunaptra first. The Americans on their horses and our sexy crew on their camels. And you know who the fuck wins. Yup, give me an E.
E.
Give me a V.
V.
What's that spell?
E-V.
Yeah, that's right, our girl wins. And this also gives O'Connell the opportunity to notice that she's more than a pair of doe eyes and a nice rack. She's also kind of like a free-spirited thrill seeker, and as an audience member, that's something that really resonates with me. Okay, so now they're finally at Hamunaptra, where they enter the crypt and start digging around. Also, this whole time, the guy who was holding O'Connell captive, who set him free in exchange for passage to Hamunaptra, you remember, he's been tagging along with them, and they keep making these comments about him being smelly, which again just feels like a tiny bit racial to me.
Is a total stench. Hey, where'd our smelly little friend get to?
So this smelly little guy, I'm just kidding. He breaks off from the pack and starts stealing stuff. And when he finds the perfect ground score, this little bejeweled scarab beetle, he does this little scream that absolutely shook me to my core. Mr. Man ends up being our first death by scarab. Well, kind of. Really, he has a scarab in his pants and he's freaking his shit so hard that he runs face first into a wall and dies. But like, cause and effect, babe. The scarab did that shit. Okay, so the whole time our little gang's exploring Hamunaptra, the Americans are also exploring. So while our band of misfits is opening the sarcophagus of Imhotep, yeah, you heard that correctly. I said opening the sarcophagus of Imhotep. Is Evelyn an ethical historian? I think not. You don't open the sarcophagus on the dig site. I would think you might want to bring it back to the lab to study in a climate-controlled environment, but apparently Evelyn does not give a fuck about preserving ancient artifacts. She is singularly focused on furthering her own agenda of self-discovery and finding the Amun-Ra, which is like the opposite of the Book of the Dead or something. She really said, I'm gonna have my study abroad moment, babe. This is about me. This is about what I want to find. I want to find that gold book. This is about me. So while they are releasing the horrors of the unknown, the Americans have found the Book of the Dead, which our beautiful, sweet, perfect, empty-headed Evelyn decides to read from, and you guessed it, reanimates the corpse of Imhotep, bringing the 10 plagues of Egypt with him. Nice. Bugs, great. Imhotep is back, baby! Just like Jesus Christ, I might add. And he is this like disgusting little pile of rotten sinews. I mean, he really is absolutely rancid. He kicks off his reign of terror by harvesting body parts from one of the Americans to add back to his reanimated corpse. Now, what do I mean by harvesting? Well, I will circle back to that. But first, he plucks out this gentleman's eyes and cuts off his tongue. And it's just really shocking and sad. Like, this man will never be able to suck toes again. And that just makes me so sad. In the meantime, Rick is all like, I don't get you, Evelyn, you're so not like other girls. And she's like, oh, well, I'm like this because my dad loved Egypt so much that he married an Egyptian woman, so I'm like half Egyptian. Right. So when Imhotep is reanimated and he sees Evelyn for the first time, he is reminded of Anouk's on a moon because Evelyn is a beautiful Egyptian woman, obviously, and he lets her live. So they make it back to like the embassy or something, and Imhotep is going around trying to become more human. First, he comes back for the guy whose tongue and eyes he already stole, because one thing about Miss Mummy is that she holds a grudge. So he pretty much sucks this guy completely dry. I'm talking, what are they selling? Chocolate dry. Oh yeah, greasy little motherfucker Benny is back, and he is working as a greasy little henchman for Imhotep. Not surprising at all, this man is a power player. He is working both sides, he has no loyalty to anyone. In many ways, he reminds me of the Minions from the 2015 movie titled Minions, because he lives to serve the most powerful master. And also he has a very strong self-preservation instinct. Like, yes, he is motivated by his desire to find treasure, but he is also motivated by his need to survive. And we can't help but to respect him for that.
It is better to be the right hand of the devil than in his path.
Our little gang decides the only person who can help them is the museum curator, Evelyn's boss. So they head back to the museum, and well, who do they find there but none other than Ardith Bey, who is the leader of the Magi, whose name they don't say a single time in the movie, but it's Ardith Bey. I smell a rat. They divulge that they're actually part of a secret society that exists to keep Imhotep from coming back to life. Hold on. I'm starting to think this might be some sort of conspiracy. And I know a thing or two about secret societies. Ever heard of Key Club? Ever heard of Girl Scouts of America? On my honor, I will try. Yup. Oh, you thought you were cute. Oh, you thought you knew something about secret societies. Yeah. What do you know about that? What do you know about that? Also, this explains why Evelyn's boss accidentally burned the map to Hamunaptra. 'Twas no accident. In fact, he was trying to keep them from going to Hamunaptra and waking Imhotep. But honestly, he didn't do a very good job. Like, he had to know that Evelyn would be prepared with a plan B. Like, they claimed it was important enough to kill scores of innocent people, but apparently not important enough to just tell Evelyn. Also, he had to know that if Evelyn went there, there would be a high probability of her being killed by the Magi. He would rather her and everyone she's with be killed than simply bring a woman into his confidence. Evelyn, please be careful. Your eyebrows are too thin. Your doe eyes too coquettish. They'll kill you. Okay, so now they're back at the embassy somehow. They were gone for like 2 minutes. My popcorn didn't even finish popping. I need a map of this world because I'm confused. Like, how far away is Evelyn's place of work? They were just lamenting that the next boat out of the embassy wasn't until tomorrow. Then suddenly Imhotep shows up and they're back at the museum. Now they're back at the embassy and Imhotep's still there. Like, was he just hanging out? Is it just like kind of super chill? Like, maybe there's like a trampoline park or something there. I don't know. He does look like the kind of guy who would enjoy a good bounce though. Okay, now Imhotep is for real harvesting the rest of the Americans. Like, sucking their souls. I mean, look at this. Although it kind of looks like it feels good. Just release every ounce of tension you've ever had in your body for one blissful second. No blood, no organs, just pure unadulterated vibes. And oh great, more bugs. Just what I wanted. I'm starting to think they might be serious about this whole 10 plagues thing. Complete chaos has erupted on the compound, and Evelyn somehow finds it in herself to fall asleep. She is such a sweet spring lamb. I love her. And while she's asleep, Imhotep decides that's the perfect time to plant a big fat wet one on her. Oh my god, this girl cannot get a break from these non-consensual kisses. Imhotep kidnaps the extremely ethnically ambiguous Egyptian-coded Queen Evelyn and brings her back to Hamunaptra so she can be a human sacrifice for the ritual to bring back his beloved. Bad romance much? So, Imhotep kidnapped Evelyn, but how are they gonna get back to Hamunaptra to perform the ritual? Well, you've heard of Sandstorm by Darude, right? That's exactly how they get back there. God, I am on fire with these references.
Fireball.
Okay, so there's this old veteran guy that we met briefly whose whole thing is that he wishes he had died in battle. So Rick sits him down, he's like, okay, perfect, I've got a proposal for you. You fly me to the Sahara Desert in pursuit of an undead god and a girl that I'm starting to think might be secretly beautiful, and I give you the opportunity to probably die. And he's like, okay, I'm sad. And it's his lucky day because he does totally die.
Quicksand! Get back! It's quicksand!
This scene is a highlight of the whole movie for me. Like, what is the implication here? That they found the one patch of quicksand in the entire desert? That when you die, the desert claims your body? That the plane is actually a sandworm? I don't know, but this scene absolutely tickled me. Oh, and the salute when he's going down. Ugh, oh captain, my captain. They are back in the catacombs, and oh my god, Jonathan grabs one of those little scarab jewels off the wall, and we realize that they actually burrow into your flesh. That explains why Mr. Stinky ran head first into that wall. He didn't just have ants in his pants. He had a scarab in his skin. The body horror in this film really is excellent. Between Imhotep's adrenochrome facial, the Raisin Bran Americans, and the scarabs doing the cha-cha slide in their skin meat, this film really successfully toes the line between action-adventure, comedy, romance, and horror. It is truly genre-defying. It's ritual time, baby! Imhotep resurrects his old priest buddies, and an epic battle between human and mummy ensues. You know that classic tale, boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, they commit murder together, they become mummies, and then are resurrected 3,000 years later with the hopes of world domination? Just like Romeo and Juliet. Okay, this shit's getting long, here's what you need to know. The sexy leader of the Magi sacrifices himself, sad, and Imhotep brings back Anuk-Sun-Amun, but she's kinda giving me after 6 hours at a wedding where I don't know anyone. Drunk, nonverbal, belligerent, yeah. They finally find the Book of Amun-Ra, and Jonathan gains control of Imhotep's mummies by reading the inscription on the cover of the book. He saves O'Connell at the last minute, and ew, oh my god, imagine one of these gutted, rotted, wretched corpses putting you in a headlock. Probably smells worse than my ass after 6 hours of driving through the South with no AC, and nothing in my body except for Mountain Dew, Funyuns, and a couple Camel Crushies. Hypothetically, of course. Hypothetically speaking. What was I saying? Oh yeah, and the CGI of these guys jumping around, it's really giving Mighty Beans. Jonathan uses the mummies to kill Anuk-Sun-Amun. Wait, it's actually breaking my heart how sad she looks in this picture. Oh my god, like I want to cry looking at her. Like, spare her, please. But he's really not believing women here. Like, she explained it clearly. She said, rah, 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 rah. But no one wants to listen, of course, when the woman talks. They read from the Amun-Ra thinking that it will kill Imhotep, but instead this stunning chariot comes down from heaven, or up from hell, or sideways from Tallahassee, Florida. And it yeets Imhotep's soul from his body, making him mortal, allowing O'Connell to stab him. Yay, murder, although it is very sad to see someone so sexy die. And this wouldn't be an Indiana Jones style adventure if a booby trap wasn't set off, causing stone to come down and enclose the entire tomb.
Time to go.
Working flawlessly, I might add, even with 3,000 years of sand in its cogs. Like my pussy. Like my pussy. Sorry. It really does make you question if aliens built these motherfuckers. Also, yeah, they did find the treasure. It did exist the whole time, but guess what? It doesn't even fucking matter because they have to abandon the whole structure. Like, this is so typical. People who don't know what to do with money getting money. Like, if I got it, I would know exactly what to do with it. Like, I would never leave it. Like, I would know what to do. It's not fair. Inshallah, they escape. Am I allowed to say that? Except for Benny, of course. He does get eaten by scarabs. R.I.P. I think he would have tasted like raw onion. Rick and Evelyn finally kiss, consensually this time, and they share a camel and ride off into the sunset together. Evelyn sits on it the girl style, I assume, because now that she has a man, she's not a spinster anymore, she doesn't have to ride it the boy way. Rick hits us with this absolute banger of a line.
Well, I guess we go home empty-handed. Again.
I wouldn't say that.
And leaves us wondering if the real treasure wasn't the friendships we made along the way. We finally got our romance, but let's be honest, the real love story was between Imhotep and Anuk Sun and Moon. They killed the pharaoh together. He was murdered trying to resurrect her. And then 3,000 years later when he wakes up, the first thing he does is start scheming to bring back his boo thing. Like, she must have had the most fire, like that is true. That is love, babe. That's love. Anyway, that's The Mummy circa 1999. What a gorgeous, incredible, amazing, wild ride. Now I'm going to speed run some fun facts. First, they also considered Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Tom Cruise, who later did the reboot, all for the role of O'Connell. And honestly, I do think they would have all slayed, except for Tom Cruise just doesn't really have the rugged sexiness I think is necessary for the role. But I think Brendan did it better than anyone could ever. Like, I think ultimately Rick's character exists to highlight Evelyn, and I think Brendan Fraser does an excellent job of being sexy while also letting her shine. I think Brad Pitt and Matt Damon would have been too distracting, but Ben Affleck would have been interesting. Brendan Fraser almost died filming the hanging scene. They said, babe, it looks fake. Can you like gag and spit and turn red and choke and stuff? And he's like, sure. And literally got choked out. My boy is method. And finally, this movie was filmed on location in the fucking Sahara Desert. None of this 100% CGI filmed in a green box Marvel studio bullshit. No, they flew their asses to Morocco and they said, let's make a movie, honey. And they did exactly that. They couldn't actually film in Egypt because of political turmoil, and the cast actually had kidnapping insurance taken out against them, and they did not even know about it until they wrapped filming. Gag. Thank you so much for watching. If you stuck around this long, I love you so much. You're so sexy. Bye-bye.